I want to thank my friend and partner of the last 4 years, America's happy warrior, the best vice president anybody could ever hope for, Joe Biden.
42 past the hour. Joining us now, columnist for the Washington Post and MSNBC policy analyst Ezra Klein, and National Urban League president and CEO Marc Morial. Donny Deutsch is still with us, along with columnist for Bloomberg View Margaret Carlson. And Marc Morial, the letter that you're sending to the president this morning is on
leaders.
Yep, on behalf of the National Urban League, is about income inequality
and jobs
and jobs,
ensuring that in the context of trying to solve the nation's fiscal problems, that it's not done in a way that, one, exacerbates income inequality or creates a slower economy and hurts the recovery that is in its earliest stages. And so we believe that the president should focus on jobs first, children and education second, community safety and gun violence third, and what we're calling a fair approach to the fiscal problem. A fair approach to the fiscal problem. And for us, that means you've got to combine revenue enhancements, whether it's changes in tax rates or elimination of loopholes, with cuts that are not solely focused on domestic programs. So we got to expand this conversation, I think.
So, Ezra, let's talk about the conversation. What's going to happen the next 4 years under President Obama in the second term?
I think what's fascinating about the election last night is that usually you elect a president and they've made all these promises, and then the question is, can they get any of them through Congress? Will anything actually happen there? With President Obama's reelection, you have the Affordable Care Act, which will happen. You have the Dodd-Frank Wall Street reforms, which will happen. And you have tax increases, which are currently law, which will happen. We don't know what the final compromise after they happen will be, but one way or another, they're going to happen. So in a funny way, Obama's reelection last night, it guarantees, it locks in a level of legislative change that had already begun in the first term. Right. That is really unusual for the moment after a presidential election. It's unusual to be able to say with such certainty what will happen next and how the country will change.
And so what's the deal that's going to be struck as we go towards the fiscal cliff, especially on the Bush/Obama tax cuts?
I think the deal that's going to be struck, at least for a little while, is we're going to go over the fiscal cliff. Yeah. I really
Happy
do.
News. Really? Good morning, America. Margaret, are we going to plummet?
Well, you have the divers, let's just go over, and you have the kickers of the can down the road. I kind of agree with Ezra. There's still this, we have to do it. We want to do it. We want to burst the boil. Let's go on. But, we earlier in the program, we said how Obama had no agenda because it was a negative campaign and he didn't have a positive program. The agenda is set for him. As Ezra said, we move forward on these issues that remain, and the House Republicans are going to push. And I think in January, some of it will be kicked down the road.
And by the way, since it's existing law, the president is in such a powerful position when it comes to the tax cuts, for instance. I mean, the tax increases, for instance.
No question.
It's already baked in the cake.
Nothing,
if the president sits back and plays golf, the taxes are increased.
But I think the public also, wants a concerted effort, less rhetoric, and they want to see people try to work on a fair deal. And I think the bigger question is whether you're going to have some sort of temporary arrangement that leads to some discussion about a longer-term arrangement. It's very difficult to not only solve the fiscal cliff, which means one thing, while at the same time coming up with a long-term plan to fix the deficit. I mean, so I could see a two-step process here.
Guys, here's what I'm excited about with the second term for Obama. I think you're going to see a guy with what I'm going to call much more considered gravitas and a little less of a chip on his shoulder. I think he's been humbled in his first term. I think, Ezra, to your point, there are certain things in place that are going to guarantee movement. And I think you're going to see a guy that is more naturally and more comfortable and secure enough to reach across the aisle. I am very, very, very empowered about where I see the next 4 years going, starting with what I think is going to be a tremendously effective and a less divisive second term for this.
But, I want to make a point. There's a really important point to make, and I've been listening all morning. This idea of reaching across the aisle, it takes two to tango. The president.
But I think it's going to start with the president.
Yeah, it starts with the president. But the last few years were about obstructionism in the Congress.
Mark, let me just say, whether you believe that or not, That's not where you start the conversation moving forward. You
but it's important.
But even that tone is not the right tone.
No, it's not.
Because I think Republicans right now, the smart Republicans who want to build their own careers, are going to get that.
I am saying
they're going to get that.
What many people are saying but isn't being heard, and that is it's up not only to the president. The president has to lead. I've been a chief executive. I understand how to deal with a legislative branch. And there's got to be a movement in the middle. So I'm saying today, yes, Mr. President, reach across the aisle. But I'm saying to all the members of Congress, look, you have got to come to the table also.
Ezra.
We do a great job in punditry of talking about how the president should act, how the president should strategize, what speech he should give. I reported on health care, on the Boehner-Obama negotiations. They did a lot of reaching across the aisle, and whether or not it's the tone they should take, it was very tough to find agreement. I mean, even put aside the president, Max Baucus' Gang of Six, you can't find a more real effort to find a bipartisan health care plan than that Gang of Six. I don't know if it changes now, but one thing we need to do a better job in the media of asking is, does Congress change? What does the new Congress look like, and will they come to the table and be open to a compromise?
Up next, our Morning Joe campaign rewind. Stay with us right here at Studio 88.
All right.